guys? It's Orlando with Filmatic, and I have a very special guest here with me, Vincent Powell,
My boy.
director extraordinaire. He's been around just filming all kinds of places. He's going to tell us a little bit about that project. But today I brought him over because he hit me up all of a sudden and said, hey man, what do you think about the 835? And I'm like, not only am I going to tell you what I think, but someone let me borrow an 835. Let's sit down and talk about it in front of people, because this is the kind of stuff that we have all the time, right? Hey, what do you think about the Pixies? What do you think about the Burano? What do you know?
We're just sitting there,
Yeah.
finishing lunch, waiting for dinner.
We're dreaming. We're all just sitting there dreaming and thinking about it. So real quick, to just give you an intro about the 835. The 835 is, when it was released, it was about $100,000 camera. It's there's so many cool things about it. I think people were waiting for a 4K 35 millimeter sensor.
Sure.
And this was ARRI's answer to that. If you didn't know, the Alexa Mini, the one that's been popular for the past 13 years, I believe, beautiful color science and everything, but it wasn't wasn't a 4K sensor. So a lot of people
A lot of people to believe that.
And people would say, oh, it's not Netflix approved or whatever. And I was like, come on, guys. People will still put the Alexa Mini over a lot of cameras that are out there. I mean, we still use it to this day. So when ARRI, after they released the Mini LF, they came out finally with new color science. This is the Alexa 35 4K sensor. Now, a lot of people today might say, why 35? Well, there's a lot of glass out there for 35, and people wanted that form factor. And so they kind of thought of a couple things. Well, ARRI released the 835. They have a new base model package that has a blue button. So instead of it being black, it's blue. Yeah. So that's how you know if they're baller or not, right? You can, blue would mean that they can, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like base, it's like entry. Like you got in.
Yeah,
you got in before they closed the door at the club, but you're in.
50K. But this is also, ARRI saying that this brain, body, and everything is worth 50K, but the licenses themselves inside the camera aren't worth that amount. So it's pretty crazy to think.
And you can kind of a la carte the licenses as you need them. But you know what? I think one of the other good points is like this camera still outranks so many other cameras when you look at the Oscar list or the Sundance list of like what projects were filmed on. Yeah. This one is what shows up at the top. There's something that punches above the par across the board, just industry standard wise.
Which is pretty insane. So for them to just drop the news a couple weeks ago, or no, it was literally a week ago. They said, "Hey, we have our flagship camera. We're dropping it at 50K." Everyone was like, "What does that mean?" So just to give you the quick insights on what that means is that when the 835 was released, it came with a bunch of different licenses. And that included shooting in RAW, ARRI RAW. It included shooting up to like 120 frames a second, or their high-speed mode. It also included their new their new looks, which are different film looks. You can pick like different type of textures and stuff, which I don't know who uses that, honestly, but people say they do.
Somebody's paying for the license.
Yeah, somebody's paying for it. And then the anamorphic license, and then, it's like 5 or 6 of them. And they're saying right out the box that the camera's worth 50K, the sensor and all is worth 50,000 with no licenses at all. So
and that's a hard concept to think through if you're used to like getting a camera out of a box and everything works. Everything that you see on YouTube and everything you've seen on the floor at NAB, it all works. Yeah. That's not the case with this kind of camera where you're paying for each feature that you may be utilizing, Yeah,
so the Alexa Mini that we had for many years had, it was just, we didn't even have ARRI RAW on there. So they did have this model before, but if we wanted to get ARRI RAW, we needed to pay another $5,000. And it was like, I don't know if I want to pay $5,000. I'll tell you, to this day, I have never shot ARRI RAW. And I've done on any camera. Wow. It's just because C-Log is so good. It just doesn't matter. I'm not shooting Avengers or anything like that. And what do I need to waste all that card space for?
And you're exposing right when you do it. You're not needing to go back and fix mistakes. Right?
Exactly. So, the 835 overall, just to me, is honestly, it's been out for what, 2 years now? Right. I haven't shot with this camera. I'm not gonna lie, but we have the Mini LF
until today.
Yeah, until today. Yeah, until today. And you'll get to see some of that footage where we got to compare the A35 versus the Mini LF, the Pixies camera, the a couple different other ones. Yeah, FX3, Burano, stuff like that. So I want to talk a little bit about, since you've been directing out in the industry and doing work. So, like, what are the cameras? Are you using full frame size, 35 sensor? What are you seeing out there?
The project I'm on right now for bringing out of the Philippines, we're moving through almost 30 cities, talking to CEOs and major influencers, doing a masterclass for CEOs.
Oh, nice.
Basically, it's all focused. It's not for the average consumer. It's all for people who deal in like delegation and need executive assistance. And so it's a really cool gig because we're all over the place. We're talking to like, Michelin chefs and people who own racetracks.
Yeah.
But also with it, it's all over the place. It's Atlanta. It's Canada. It's
I saw you flying everywhere.
I'm everywhere, right? So what we're doing is we're moving around with the Venice and the FX6 as a B cam.
All full frame cameras.
Correct. Yep. So Venice A cam, FX6 B cam, and then sending a rider for a 1 ton to each city with a gaffer and grip. So we'll meet them there. We'll do like a Zoom call to just talk through the list. And so basically we're doing like 2 600s, 2 1200s, 2 300s, and then a big silk and a honeycomb, and kind of just letting that be what we live on. And it's a direct-to-camera kind of deal. And so it's been fun. Dolly on the B cam, A cam is on sticks.
And for lenses, are you using full frame lenses, or you're
bumping in? So we had a moment where at first we had the full frame Catas. We were traveling with those.
But Dizio Catas.
Correct. And so they work great. But as we were trying to figure out how to streamline our travel, you're moving from city to city. You're dragging all these cases. We were like, how do we get our cases as small as we can? So we ended up cropping in and going with the art lenses and just nailing the focus. And it's funny because like the first set in the series are the Dizio and then we just switched to the Sigmas, and it made life easier for us. Yeah. Just on moving with a backpack for a Venice, a backpack for the FX6, and then because we're traveling with a teleprompter as well. Yeah, so teleprompter is there so that they can look directly at me.
So now you are cropping in, and you are using. So it's funny because I always like to look around like what people are using. We've kind of moved into the large format with the Mini LF, and I think we started with. Even though when we had the Mini LF, we used the Cooke S4s, which are Super 35 lenses, and we did a whole documentary, which is gonna, if you're depending on when this is released, that project will be out and you'll already know about it, but it's something that we shot for Max, and that was a Mini LF, but we shot everything in 1080p. And we shot I don't know why they did it. Well, I know why they did.
Was it a license? They chose 1080p.
They chose 1080p for the whole series
to shoot it in, not to deliver.
To shoot it because it's going to be delivered usually at 720p on HBO Max, which is crazy, right? So Mini LF with Cooke S4s. Then also a Mini for the B cam with the S4s. And they look great. I mean, of course, that texture, all that looks awesome. But as soon as we put like Tokinas or even these master builds, like these that are here on there, all of a sudden it gives you like so much life with the sensor. And you're just like, man, I kind of don't like being compressed in that 35, knowing that I can literally be in the same position and I get this so much width. Yeah.
And it was really you over the last couple of years just talking about how the industry in general is moving to just the open gate, the 4.3, just kind of wanting to see more of the world. Yeah. And I've shot with these guys on projects here in town as well. And amazing lens, right? For sure. But once you put it on a large format or an open gate kind of sensor, it really does show the world a lot more.
And what are you seeing out there? Like, are people doing 35? Are they doing large format? I mean, what cameras are you seeing more on your feed?
Yeah, so on my feed, I'm seeing a lot of Komodo, a lot of the new Blackmagic Super 35 on the Komodo, but also the new full frame Pocket.
Oh yeah.
Or the Pixis, right? Which is.
Oh yeah, that's a 12K one, right?
No, well, the new Ursa is a 12K. Okay. They revised that one, but I haven't seen as much of that yet. And I used to have a 12K Ursa, and got rid of that only because it was Super 35. Okay. And I was like, it's a lot of resolution to still have this sensor.
Small window.
Yeah, exactly.
Small window into the world.
I think that the FX3 and the FX30 is really punching through everywhere.
FX30 is a crop
Yeah,
sensor.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's what's in my bag all the time, right? That's what I have if I pull out something to grab. And so I think when it's, hey, for social, for personal, for YouTube, I don't mind the FX30 or the FX3, but once it's clients involved, I love offering that option to go full frame or bigger.
I mean, and it's more, I guess, when you are designing the look and feel of a project, if you can't go large format, I mean, ultimately that means that most of the cameras you are doing that's more recording space, especially if you want high codecs and all that. But like I said, I've worked on some high-end projects and we shot 1080p, and it didn't matter in that sense. But I also think that project that we did, it was based to kind of look like the 90s, so that a little more compact feel, being more intimate, personal kind of helps. So yeah, overall, I want to tell people that the Alexa 35, we haven't seen it move a ton in town, but we're from Houston. It's not like a big thing, but I did hear down the grapevine that a mega church here in Houston has swapped over completely to A35s, which is insane how much was spent there. And I'm sure that they probably just got the base model. I hope that they got the base models, not the full, the big versions, because
either
it's
way,
a lot.
you're spending, and a lot of my space is in the house of worship space as well. And I was part of that movement to just kind of move from broadcast to cinema, even when Red dropped the ability for the Komodo or the Komodo X to be over the Ethernet line to be able to do CCU camera control from an iPad, right? So now you're moving from a whole model of needing these big CCU, which are just camera control units that usually live in like a control room, to being able to just use an iPad to control over 100 cameras if you have that many, and just with the press of a button, copy presets, lock presets.
I'm glad I'm not in that world.
And and you know what? For me, it was really fun, even as I was transitioning last year, because it really pivoted Red to be in a space to open the door for an Alexa to say, wait, there is somewhere in that space that works, especially like with the Alexa Live. Super Bowl's coming up. You're about to see a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm wondering to see what's going to happen with Super Bowl, because Super Bowl kind of dictates where the market is. Like, there's one year that it was all anamorphics, and then there's another year that it was all, just vintage glass. And I don't know what it's going to be this year, but we'll find out.
Roy Wood Jr.'s latest Hulu project was directed by my dude C. Craig. We went to USC together. Amazing director. He directs all of Roy Wood's specials. He shot it with 7 of the Alexa, the Lives.
Oh, the Lives.
And basically, they were like, hey, we want to prep a multicam before the Super Bowl. We'll send you the cameras. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And so
that's awesome.
It was super crazy. He had done some amazing work. He's got some other projects coming out with some other studios. And so he had a relationship there, and he was able to leverage that and really be able to see what these cameras are capable of. And they push it to the limit. So I'm hoping next weekend or whenever you're watching this, the Super Bowl that just passed in New Orleans, that is super cinematic and really,
I'm sure it's gonna be amazing. Yeah, the guy that rents this out to us, or that let me borrow this one, McMillan. Big shout out to MC Steady. I think he's gonna be on the Super Bowl shooting.
Of course. What isn't he on?
What isn't he exactly. On? And it's so cool to have such a tight knit community here in Houston. We're also in this really dope space. Yeah. Which, if you're in the middle of this series, this place called Downtown Studio Co. Nice. Daniel Salazar, Nick, Cash, all of them invited us over to check out the space. If you guys haven't, if y'all haven't seen it, I mean, we're doing several setups here, and it's worked out very well. Well, with that said, thank you, Vincent, for checking it out. Always, if you guys are on the series, there's a couple more dropping here, so we'll be talking really soon. All right, see y'all later. Peace. Later, man. Thank you. Peace. Okay. All right.